I shop there for I am, that referring the kind of historical background. And this is the, actually, this is the, her own work, but this is the New York magazines. And when the Trump came to the power, she used again her style, and again at the protest manner, protest way, she kind of, not only in an artistic way, but also the cover for the magazine. But the idea of the, or the graphic idea is continue, and criticism continue. I personally know this guy, the Yossi Lamel, and this is the interesting. I remember the time in 1995, and during the breaking up the Yugoslavia in 1990s, United Nations remained helpless and inactive. And then these Serbian nationalists were killing the many Bosnian Muslims. And then the many people, especially the designers, were maybe silent at that time. But Yossi Lemon is a Jew. He criticized United Nations. As you see here, unable, you cannot do it. And then showing through the turtle images. So he, as a Jew, as a political designer, Yossi tried to express the Muslims' feeling, actually. This is the kind of good things that, so my point is, guys, you cannot, just in a political world, graphics, you cannot just your own community. You have to be objective. You have to put yourself into other shoes. So this is an important, being humanist designer. This is the I think we need to do. This is the, again, Bosnia war. Anur Hadzimor made this poster showing that instead of getting the eggs, getting all the bombs. So these are the political posters that, again, James Victor's from the, in US, again, racism is happening time to time. So this is the James Victor's feeling against such things. Same guy, he made a poster for the death penalty. He criticized the government action for the death penalty. And Lex Stromsky's actually made this. He's the guy often used political graphics, very minimal perspective, and anti-war posters. And Lex is more, he's the last name, and he make a fun of it with a humorous approach. It means that taking that triggering from the gun, that's in a way that is reducing that war in a good way, humorous way. And as I said, this is not about the just war. Sometimes other social issues like AIDS, and this is the Bonnie Seeger. He made this poster against the Bush at that time, who was interested in that much AIDS situation in the US. And this is the interesting advertising. And this is the ads that we know it as right. This is the normal advertising. This is the got milk. This is the company in the US, government said that, okay, the young people especially should drink more milk for the benefit of the health. And then this is the famous ads from 1993 to 2013. It took for a long time to do this, and with the famous faces, as you see. What happened? Good, smart designer come with this idea. So this is the got milk, and then it's got oil. So when the Bush invaded the Iraq, why you invading the Iraq? Oil. So put into the context of this, that's a very clever. That's a very clever, very nice idea. Especially the young guy, when you graduate, you need to express such a situation, and you have the power of pencil, computer, program, and here is you can express yourself. So another one. This is the iPod poster. This is the, I remember when I was studying a master's degree at the Pratt in New York. This was the ads of everywhere in 2003 and 4. And for the US, when the Bush invaded to Iraq, and this is what happened. So they use that the flavor of the advertising, everyone knows, use that language in a political manner. So, and these images actually reflected. This is the guy in some American soldier took some prisoners and they did a torture. And they use that as a graphic way and then Iraq instead of iPod. So these are the clever idea to boost the people, talk about it. This is the talkative point it became during this time. And again, another similar thing. This is the invading of the Iwo Jima by the Joe Rezental. There's a photographer, a famous photograph. And Jatrap Boban in 2003, he made that perspective from the different perspective, but the same idea, but in this questioning the victory. And Luba Lukava, also another Bulgarian-based, another designer who often focus on the protest graphic, and she focused on the, again, social, political issues, and she expressed herself. They're designers, they're doing work, but at the same time, they express their ideas. Global warming, Leo Lin, it's a very nice, beautiful work. And so, which means that with your beautiful design, aesthetically designed, good work can give the hope for the people, for the public. So this is the important part of the things. And this is the Savaş Çekiç from the Turkey. At that time, this British Petroleum Corporation had a big accident in the Gulf of Mexico, and he focused showing the bird here in a dramatic way. And I was there in 2012, Occupy Wall Street movement, and one of the designer, Alexandra Claude Felter, made this is the bull that shows the Wall Street money. So it's kind of like getting the rope and controlling it. Beginning is the near with his idea. It's expressed at that time. And then we are equal. This is the poster for the men and women issues. And this is the Muhammad Ra Sarraf's works in Saudi Arabia, as far as I know. At that time, there wasn't allowed to women to ride a car, and then later on, government say, okay, you can do it. And then this is the come with some nice idea. You can ride a bicycle, but with a man. Again, you cannot separate it. So this is another thing. And this is the fiery shepherd. So this is actually another good subject that need to be reserved. There are some designers who act like the artist, like the contemporary designer. Like I said, Barbara Kruker and Shepherd. So they use the language of the design with a freedom of expressing. And when the time of the 2017 elected, Trump was again degrading all those different cultural people, and then he come up with some poster images from the different background, Muslim, African American, and Latino. So with the beautiful images, and then people start to express themselves in a different way. So the poster, often I show it here, but also some magazines like the Der Spiegel, Rodriguez, this is the Rodriguez work. Some magazine also they show their perception. Here is the New York magazine, Stern magazines. They express, actually, this is the political expression in a way, in a magazine way. So these are other works. This is the first work when Trump, in a way that he didn't care the judiciary system, and when his time is finished and the other next guy, when he came, he continued the idea of the restoring the democracy in the second cover. And in the end, there are some websites, you can do too. There are some websites, you can do some protest graphics like this, and these posters, these websites saying that, hey, if you have some issue problem, here's what I'm doing, you can download it, you can show it in your crowd when it comes to the expression. So designers can become a voice of the others through the website. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we move ahead now with the Leave, the master of the poster design from Ireland, who has been making great contribution to Latin America, posters, events, educator and Professor Christopher Scott. You are welcome.
Someone is next to me. Do it.
Oh, okay.
I will do it. I will do it.
You sure?
Christopher, you come.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't need a computer. Just like someone to connect it. Do you want me to connect through here? Let's start. Start now. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Scott, and today I'm going to talk about how the poster changed my life. Firstly, I would like to thank ASCII and also Arafat for the kind invitation and making this event happen. It's been, we just arrived to Dubai yesterday, and so yeah, we're looking forward to getting to see more of the beautiful city and the country. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone, the authorities, all the students who are attending. So basically, a wee bit about myself. I've worked for 20 years as a professional graphic designer. Been one of the main passions that I have is making posters. I've made more than 500 in social, cultural, and advertising purposes. I had a project in Ecuador which is called the Ecuador Poster Biannual, and currently I'm a professor of graphic design in Iowa State University. So to start off, it's very, very important, and it's great that some already, if you're the presenters, have mentioned this before, but graphic design is very, very important. It's basically the visual language for the world. And through this presentation, I'm going to share, I hope you all join me in this journey that I'm going to talk about certain changes and how the poster has influenced my life and other people as well around me. So, apart from that, we also have the responsibility to share visuals of importance to improve our society. So that's very, very important, especially whenever graphic design is the visual language for the world. We have that responsibility to share visuals of that importance. So to get back to the basics, basically there's always this conversation of what is the poster, what exactly is it, and basically it's the size and the format. And obviously in different countries, the sizes vary, but one of the reasons why I love the poster is because everything within that space is possible, and you can adapt your style and your personality into that space. So the first change is Dead Leaf, which is a poster I made in 2008, and this is the image. And this basically changed my whole life. Before that, I was basically a graphic designer who would make posters for advertising use to sell a product, like Doga mentioned before. I would also make a lot of logos to sell, again, a product. And I was in my final semester as a student, and I finally was given the opportunity to, as a student, to do my own project. And what I decided to do was I wanted to make a project that I really cared about. And I selected the Amazon rainforest as my topic, especially in relation to the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. And the concept of this work is a dead leaf in the shape of South America, and the holes at the top represent the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest in 2007. And unfortunately, it's probably double that right now. And whenever I was doing lots of research and understanding the topic, which is very, very important in graphic design, there was this data and info that really stood out in my head, which in terms of if we do not have the Amazon rainforest, the world cannot survive, because basically it's a really important ecosystem for the world. And this changed, this single image changed my whole life. And that's very, very important to understand, is one single poster, one single image can literally transform your whole life and just change your whole perspective on the world in general. And a couple of months after making this image, I was selected by a project, Good 50 by 70 in Italy, and I traveled to Milan to see my poster there, and I got to meet Yoshi Lemel, which Dogan mentioned is a wonderful poster designer, and also Woody Pirtle, who was the founder of Pentagram in New York. And this was one of the most important moments of my life. I was 21 years old in this moment. And then something really crazy started to happen. It was never my intention that this poster would get the impact that it would. Basically, I made that image of dead leaf to save a tree. That was the objective of that image. It was to save a tree in the Amazon rainforest and communicate the message that we need to stop cutting down trees, stop, especially in the Amazon rainforest. But people started to share the message. People started to have a connection to that, the poster that I made. And they shared it all around the world. And it was an unbelievable experience and a really a weird experience. I would receive emails every single day from people all around the world saying that it really impacted them, the poster itself. So it was an amazing experience overall. And then Google has obviously a very important role in our society, and especially in relation to the internet. And if you search dead leaf, which is a generic term, it comes up on the second or third line in Google Images. And this, to this day, makes my fingers numb and my feet numb, just thinking of the concept where you can just put a generic and a normal word and it just pops up straight away in my image on the second and third line of Google, which is absolutely still amazing till this day, to be honest. And then other organizations and projects started to share the message, such as Graphies, Pandon, Google, as I mentioned before, Bloomsburg, the Worldwide Graphic Designers, Korea Association of Graphic Design, Design Boom, WWF, Bienal in Bolivia, Retro Avangarda, Design Awards, and the Bienal in Peru also. And people were really connecting all around the world to that image. Then after that, it really understood the importance of social graphic design for society. It really opened my eyes, like, wow, this is absolutely amazing that one single image can have an impact on society in a positive way. And the next image that I made was called White Tiger Melts in 2008. And this was the final image that I made. And there is very few of this white tiger in the world. So I made this image that the tiger is melting away. So yeah, this was based on that concept that it's an endangered animal that we need to protect. And then I got an email from an organization in Paris that wanted to put it on T-shirts to communicate the message as well out to the public, and also it was selected for an exhibition to promote the awareness of the concept in Poland as well. The number 3 project I would like to show is an image I made called Freedom of Speech in 2009. And this was the graphic that I made. It's very important to understand that the difference in the styles that I'm selecting, there's images that are made more like collage, there's images that are made more vector-based and illustration-based, and that's the freedom that the poster gives you. You can be someone like Lubelakova that just sticks to one style, or you can try different things out depending on what your objectives are. But this was an image I made in 2009 on the topic of freedom of speech, just a simple image that is obviously the speech bubble and then the jail bars in front of it. And this was sent to Poster for Tomorrow, which is probably one of the most important social poster projects in the world, and it was exhibited in the Louvre in Paris, which is the gallery that has the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. So this was a really impactful moment, and in that image that was shared in other exhibitions around the world as well. And then I got an email from the International Federation for Human Rights in Vietnam, and they printed 500,000 stickers to go all around the world, and it was really interesting to see that happen as well. The 4th project that I want to mention, and it was great that Dogan actually mentioned these words in his presentation as well, put yourself in their shoes. And that's really, really important, especially in social projects in general, especially in actually all graphic design, where you actually put yourself in the shoes of the person who's going to interact with your visual. And this was made during my master's in 2010 and 2011. And this was one of the first images that I made, which was made with 15 liters of water. And it says, "We take water for granted." And this was probably the whole size of this auditorium, this image. And here you can see photos of the process of me making this image. I had to practice 2 or 3 weeks in my house in the streets, because to write with water was difficult. And this was done in the center of one of the biggest cities in Ireland, where I'm originally from. And this was very difficult to do this. It took a process of 30 minutes, and it was a very interesting experience, because it taught me that graphic design is not necessarily just sit in front of the computer to do the design. It taught me that sometimes design, you need to be, especially with graphic design, you need to be outside with the people, getting their interaction, getting their feedback. So I was making this image in the middle of the city with water, and people were shouting at me, saying, "What are you doing? What is this?" And it was an unbelievable experience to interact with people, right? Because sometimes as graphic designers, we sit down in front of the computer and we don't think of the people who are actually going to interact with what we're seeing, right? So this is an unbelievable experience to have that interaction directly with the people. This is an image that I made called Life, which is part of the Masters as well. And this was made in my garden in Ireland. This was made over a process of six months, because I had to cut the garden every Saturday for a process of 6 months. It took me a lot of patience, a lot of time, just to get that final image that says Life, with obviously the grass growing higher than the rest of the typography. And then the photo was taken that I stood on top of the roof of the house to take the photo. And then here's a photo of me cutting the garden. I had to do this for 6 months every Saturday. So you're talking, I don't know how many times that I had to do that, maybe 5 by 6. Around about 30 times I had to cut the garden. And you have to remember is that the garden is really small, but I had to be really precise with where I was cutting, because if I went one bit to the left or one bit, a wee bit to the right, I'd have to wait another 6 months to wait for the process to start again, all over again. So to cut the garden every single time, it would have taken me maybe over 1 hour. And then here are a collection of other images I made for the masters. Put yourself in their shoes. Some are made with fish, chicken, with bread, with bricks, with shoelaces, and other concepts as well. And then the change number 5, what happened dramatically to my life, was moving from Ireland to Ecuador in South America. This happened in 2012. And it was obviously a big change to move from a country in Europe, a small country in Europe, to South America. I had to learn a whole new language. I had to learn a whole new culture. And it was a big, big change in my life. And the poster was obviously a part of that process, because obviously of Dead Leaf, because the Dead Leaf was based on South America. So that's why I probably got that opportunity in that way. Number 6 was a project made by one of my students called Solution Pollution in 2013. This was made by my student Santiago Peralta, and this was a simple image that he made based on that the bicycle is the solution and the car or the vehicle is the pollution. And this is a photo of me and Santiago. One thing that's very, very important is that